I'm here with Dominic Rigo from Logistics Executive. Dominic, great to see you again. How are you?
Excellent, Lawrence. Excellent.
Now, you get to travel the world. You know, similar to Kim, you're right across every aspect of supply chain logistics with your role. Tell us a bit about your role. Let's to kick off with that.
Sure. So my role is basically looking after the whole of Asia Pacific and around all the advisory work, right? So our clients are varied from from a Caesar Stone to Dairy Farm International, so everything in between as well. And really, getting to an event like this is amazing because we get to reconnect, with all the industry professionals. Significant investment into this whole conference, right? Not just in Logisim, but also CMAT as well. And basically, I utilize all this for my role to really connect and really inspire the industry around what's happening that's new, basically.
Yeah.
And I love it.
I agree. I think speaking of inspiration, I brought this up a few times with interviews, but the student groups and the new generation of people who are actually genuinely interested in supply chain has blown me away. I think it's great.
Yeah, look, there's Gen X, Y, and Z, and everything in between as well.
Yeah.
Now, the next generation is really the lifeline of our industry, right? So, what I'm doing in the panels that I'm chairing, in the presentation I'm giving as well, is trying to give as much encouragement as I possibly can to that next generation, right? Because they are the future, and how I do that is basically I single them out, right? So drop in a couple of key questions and so forth, and make sure that they're all actively participating, because basically, if they're going to take over, statespeople like us in the industry, our roles and so forth, they've got to be ready for it, right? So and supply chain is all about volatility and it's all dynamic, right? So to be dynamic, you need to be able to get as much experience and exposure as possible, and that's what I'm trying to give to the new students.
I think, Dominic, when you combine the symposium, the conference, and downstairs, it's a perfect blend because they get to have people like yourself and the other panelists and speakers talking about what's going on. And then they can come down here and they can actually see some of the latest tech and innovations, the way that they can embrace that themselves as part of their career.
Yeah, absolutely. So are we cutting this or?
We can keep going. No, we'll redo that again.
Yeah.
Because normally
Just
the mic.
that question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to remember what I asked now.
Doesn't matter.
Go.
I'm ready for the next question.
All right, cool. Ready? Okay. So, Dominic, one of the great things about the symposium conference being together with CMAT is that you can actually really engage with all the dialogue, the brainstorming, then come downstairs, see some of the latest tech behind us, all the latest innovations, and how it can really take the future shape of all these new strategies and design.
Absolutely, and there's an extra dimension as well, because not only is it the Logisim conference, but there's also a cold chain conference that's linking as well, right? In addition to the whole CMAT. So basically anyone coming to Singapore from the Asia Pacific region, from Europe, from the US and so forth, coming here, they're getting some excellent value, right? So, and they're getting excellent value because, as I mentioned earlier, there's an extremely lot of money put into this conference. Yep. And having those four elements put together, anyone who's here gets to really get a good cross-section exposure to all that, right? Yeah. So they're seeing the innovation when it comes to physical materials handling equipment. They're hearing the latest insights when it comes to all things supply chain, volatility. They're getting all the insights when it comes to cold chain as well. And those dimensions there, priceless, especially for Asia Pacific.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, one of the things I wanted to ask you as well is that what are you most excited about when it comes to both the people but also the products? Is there something that really gives you a buzz?
There's a long list, right? Look, for me, number one, the investment in some of the physical technology that's out there, you don't get that anywhere else, right? So that's number one for me. Number two would have to be just having those connections when it comes to the insights for the key presenters. The presenters, on stage at the conference, they've been carefully selected for their chosen subject matter expertise, right? So, hence the insights that they're providing, and I'm obviously one of the speakers as well. I've done a lot of work to make sure that I've researched the latest and greatest to instill and incite everyone who's an attendee.
Well, I'm sure you have, because the feedback I've got talking to a lot of the delegates who have come through as well is that they're loving it. There's hasn't been any negative comments. Everyone's really soaked up a lot of the information. And as you said, there's like essentially three channels in one: the cold chain, the logistics and Logisim, and CMAT as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and all that means is excellent value, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
that's excellent for everyone who attends.
Yeah. Well, Dominic, always great to chat with you. Congratulations on the work you continue to do as well, and for being a wonderful panelist and speaker up there. And we'll see you again very soon.
Lawrence, thank you very much.
Thanks,
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you all.